Rhyme and Reasoning Comic Book Club. Today we got a special episode as we review Captain America, a new movie that was just released, and Captain America: Brave New World. Sorry, the title wasn't in front of me. Joining me for this special review, I have Vic Jr.
What up?
and I have Gabriel Feliciano.
What up, though?
So today we're gonna kind of review what our thoughts on the movie. I've been taking Vic to movies ever since I think Gabe was living with us to see comic book movies. So we thought it'd be cool for all of us to go see it and do a quick review. We're also gonna try to have Thiago on to 8-year-old's review, but he's knocked out sleeping right now. I'm gonna go ahead and read the intro from the movie theater, what they had on the movie, and then Vic, if you want to take over from there. But it says Captain America: Brave New World. Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident after meeting with President Thaddeus Ross. He will soon discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. So that kind of sets it up. Um, as I was speaking to Victor yesterday about this movie, he mentioned that I watched the show that was on Disney, which was what was that show? It was Falcon.
Mhm.
What was it? Falcon and what?
And the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I did, and that's kind of like the prequel to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you guys want, Vic? You want to put some info into that for us?
Yeah. First, I'll give like a little small review, and then we'll hear from Gabe, and then get back to you, and then move on to the next thing a little bit. But I personally think this was like a real good 7 out of 10 Marvel movie, which is like getting harder and harder to come by, I think, lately. Like, I really like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and even that is like a 7 out of 10 for me, I think. And I think it gets that 7 out of 10 rating because it's Sam Raimi who's directing it, and Sam Raimi just oozes style. But Brave New World reached a 7 out of 10 for me because like it's solid. The action's real nice. I think the character moments for Sam when they need to happen really hit. The supporting cast is I think real nice. I wish that the dialogue was a bit better between like all the supporting cast. There's a scene when they're in the limo going to the White House where I just wish that like it was written a little bit better and it wasn't like a dude
Let's
trying.
turn up.
Yeah. I wish it. I told my dad yesterday that it felt like it was written by someone who's completely outside of like any sort of like, I don't know. He's like an outside that doesn't know how like people really talk, these days, and they're just imagining what people talk like. Like that's what it felt like. But besides that, 7 out of 10, I really liked it. I think it's it's probably the second best Captain America movie. No, probably third, which sucks. But there's 4 of them, so it's not fourth.
Gabe, what's your thoughts before we start getting more into the movie?
Me, like, could have had a tad bit more action, but the action that it did have, they hit the nail. Visuals, like we were talking earlier, I thought it was dope.
Mm-hmm.
But what did it for me, what I feel that was really good about it was all the little nods to just, I mean, if you go, average viewer probably didn't catch it, but if you go back, like putting, like there was probably what the first Marvel movie without the classic bumper, like the logo and stuff like that. If you
Oh
notice,
yeah.
the bumper was just black and white, and I feel like with it also being Harrison Ford, it was a kind of nod to like a lot of his old movies, like stuff like Tom Clancy or Clear and Present Danger, that whole covert like government
Mm.
undigging secrets and stuff like that. So I mean, I kind of peeped that from the get-go, and I was like, okay. And just, I mean, a whole bunch of just little little stuff here and there that they threw the Easter eggs. That's what I was trying to find. That's what I really loved about it, and what it possibly can set up for the future. And that's what I think it's kind of high for me. Like post, what is it, Endgame? You know,
Mhm.
after Multiverse of Madness and Deadpool Wolverine, I would put it right after those two as of now. You
Mhm.
know.
Well, me being on the from the outside looking in the comic book world and just going to the movies, um, usually I'm the one that's always trying to be positive. I come out of movies and saying it was good because I really want them to make another one. It's good. It was good. This movie, I told Gabe before we started here, I'd probably give it 4 out of 5. But if we're going on a scale of 10, I'm probably more at a 7 as well, and that's because I feel that 7 is a mid for me. As you guys are talking here today, I started thinking about more and more of it and why I really was getting a little annoyed by it, but then I started thinking about why I really liked it. So I give it a 7. I think some of the things I didn't like Victor said, the limo scene, I kind of that's one of those scenes I kind of after it happened, I kind of like they could have cut that out.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then when Victor told me last night about it, I was like, yeah, I agree 100%. I did not like that scene at all. There was a couple other things I felt like they tried to rush it. A couple other things that I felt were real cheesy. But I think it had some things. It had a mountain to climb from the beginning.
Mhm.
And because it had that mountain to climb from the beginning, I think that people who are not comic book readers like you guys or know some of the history are going to be very negative against it. I think that's going to give them it's going to give the movie very bad ratings. Overall, I liked it. Like I said, I give it a 7, but I did have some critiques that I didn't like. But my problem, as my critiques are, is that um, they may be what the comic book calls for. But me as a viewer who didn't read much haven't read much Captain America at all, um,
Mhm.
I didn't really care for. Just to give you an instance, the uniform. I think his uniform is very cheesy, and it didn't help him at all. You had Captain America when he came out, and then the original Captain America, and when he came out in the newer movies, his outfit was very like I don't know how to say it. It was kind of like badass,
Iconic.
Yeah.
iconic. Yeah, it was iconic. And this one, it was kind of very cheesy, and I don't know if that's what the comic book calls for, but to
Mm.
me, it looks very cheesy, and I don't think it did it any favors. But once again, this is coming from somebody who has never read a Captain America comic book.
Mm.
Oh,
No,
one. Sorry, I read one.
which one?
The one we read. I don't have it in
Oh,
front
you're
of me.
talking about the Kree Scroll War?
Yeah,
Mm. Um, I think one day we should check out the beginning of Ed Brubaker's Captain America run. That's the Captain America run that goes from Winter Soldier to the death of Captain America to Bucky being Cap, and then to Sam Wilson being Cap. It's a really legendary run by Ed Brubaker. And you know what? I agree with the costume. I will admit that I liked the second costume in the movie better than the one that he starts the movie off in with the white.
I didn't
I
even see his second. I guess I didn't notice this, and he
Yeah,
changed.
because the star gets slashed when he was fighting. Was it Copperhead or something like that? One of the serpents
uh
inside.
he was fighting one of the servant society in Mexico,
Hmm.
and he cuts the star and he tells him, he's like, I'm gonna add it to my collection. And that's when Sam gets like his second wind and he's able to stop him real quick.
Uh,
That suit has like a lot of white on it, and I remember when they revealed that suit in Falcon and Winter Soldier, everyone online, including myself, was like, that is a lot of white to put on a black man's Captain America costume. Like
yeah,
it
it
felt
felt real
like
cheesy. The
it
mask is cheesy.
it felt like Marvel was trying to overcompensate with the way that suit looked. Um,
What about
but
the mask though? Is the mask is the same as it should be, or
He got rid
no,
of the neck
yeah,
and headpiece, right, or
yeah,
something.
they got rid of the sock, the head sock.
yeah,
Which one thing that I like about Sam Wilson's Captain America is the head sock.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like when I read the comics, I like that he has the head sock on because it's a little bit different than Steve's helmet.
Well, that and it's also like keeping it kept with the Falcon because then
Hmm.
as Falcon he had that as well.
Yep, as Falcon, he had the head sock where you
Yeah.
could his hair is just popping out,
Yeah.
and
Now, go ahead.
the one thing that's cool about Sam is that in the movies he's a military vet, and like his whole life changed because he went for a run with Captain America one day in the second Captain America movie.
Yeah.
But what's important to remember that Sam Wilson in the comics is just a normal guy. He's not a war vet or anything. He's just a dude that hangs out with Captain America and can talk to birds.
Well, see, and that's one of my problems that I have. Say, uniform was one of them. Second one was I don't think I'm a big fan of Anthony Mackie.
You don't like Tupac, bro?
He played Tupac.
In the Notorious B.I.G. movie,
Oh, I didn't notice
That
that.
his
No, I
real
was
name is
thinking.
Clarence.
his
Yeah,
real name is Clarence.
I was thinking of Clarence from 8 Mile, but I don't think I'm a big fan of his. Like it feels like he tries to talk from the back of his throat,
Yeah.
Mm,
and it's very annoying, and it kind of like like Gabe, you might remember this, and it's gonna be a weird comparison, okay? But you remember Will Smith when he used to be on the Fresh Prince,
Mhm.
and you look at Will Smith now. I understand maturity. I understand growing up, but he's a
Yeah.
different character who tries to be something that that I don't know that they created in like in lab or something. He talks very very deep, and he tries. And I look at him sometimes, and I'm like, that's the same character he used to make fun of when he was on the Fresh Prince. You know, and Anthony Mackie has that same thing where it's kind of like he's talking from the back of his throat. He's trying. I don't know. I just. And then I think of Clarence, and it's just like it's very hard. It's very hard for me to take him serious as a Captain America. But not to mention, and I forgot his name. The guy who played the first Captain America
Chris
did
uh,
Evans.
did an
yeah,
awesome job. I think he did an awesome job. And then here's my third part. Okay, why didn't and you guys can answer this for me? But why didn't they do the Bucky as Captain America? Because I liked that guy who played Bucky. Like
Sebastian Stan.
why didn't they give him a run? Because supposedly he was Captain America for a while, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Um. So, like I said in the Ed Brubaker run, it goes from, you know, Cap finding the Winter Soldier to the Winter Soldier becoming Cap. And I think the reason why they skipped it for the MCU at least is because they had different plans for Bucky. They wanted to keep him. They wanted to make him into the White Wolf. Which is what he became after Endgame.
Hmm.
Because he was in Wakanda for a long time, getting his arm back together. Uh, and then I think I think that because Bucky's time as Cap in comics was really only like 2 years, and then in an event called, let's see, Fear Itself, he gets killed by the daughter of Red Skull. Yeah, the daughter of Red Skull. So he was really only Cap for like 2 years, and his Cap wasn't, what fans really liked. He used guns for one, and he wasn't afraid to kill because he wasn't Steve. Steve has the heart that makes him Captain America. That's why he can't use a gun unless he's fighting Nazis. Because we all forgive Steve for using a gun while fighting the Nazis in World War II. But for some reason in modern day, if he uses a gun, we're like, what the hell? But Bucky was more likely to use guns. And I think they really wanted to get to Sam Wilson being Cap because one thing that I always tell my dad is that when I started picking up comics, when like Gabe would take me to Rogue Comics and we would look on the new shelves, Sam Wilson was Cap, Kate Bishop was Hawkeye,
Mhm.
Miles was Spider-Man, Kamala Khan was Miss Marvel. It was a part of a whole new like line initiative called All New, All Different Marvel, where they just shake things up, and it lasted a long time. I think Sam Wilson is still Cap to this day. There's two Captain Americas operating. There's two Spider-Mans operating. There's only one Miss Marvel because Carol got the promotion to Captain Marvel. Um, I think that's just why they skipped over Bucky because they
And
have
you
other
kind of see
characters.
also what their plans for in the MCU for him as well too.
Hmm.
When he
Mm.
does his little cameo, not to jump too far ahead,
Yeah, well, he did a cameo as a politician, right?
or running or
Yeah,
going up for
and then
like
he's got his
congressman
own
or
movie coming out, right? With
He's
Thunder.
gonna the Thunderbolts. I think he's gonna be like the leader of the Thunderbolts.
Okay, yeah, seen that. I seen the preview, and then I seen him show up in the movie, which I thought was cool when he showed up.
yeah.
Hmm.
He kind of
Eh,
did a little like when he was talking about when Sam said somebody wrote that for you, right? His speech,
Oh
and then
yeah.
he kind of did like that, but he also he does that in the upcoming Apprentice movie as well that
Oh
he plays
really?
Donald
oh,
Trump. Yeah,
I think they canned that movie.
yeah, he's,
well, you know what? And I will tell you about something I got probably more for Gabe than Vic. But how good was it to see Liv Tyler again, huh?
yeah, right.
Oh, I said that too. I was like, I haven't seen Liv Tyler do anything in a while.
Yeah,
And I was like, whoa, look at Liv. She's
that
playing
was
that same character, huh? That
yeah.
that that daughter who doesn't understand her father, and I'm like, go
She
back
was a
to her
little
again.
more sympathetic though this time around. At least they kind of,
Yeah.
and I, not like I said, I hate to jump spoilers, but those that do know, she eventually becomes, the Red She-Hulk too. So
Hmm.
maybe that's probably why they're, you know,
Setting it up.
No, I
yeah,
didn't know that. So, I
yeah,
Yeah.
mean, but that's good if she comes back then. And then I mean, you have to be iconic. You have Harrison Ford in your movie. I mean, first of all, he ain't cheap.
Mm-mm.
He ain't young, and
He ain't
he
got the patience either.
no,
no, and he's still doing it. I mean, come on. It's like Harrison Ford saying, "You know what? I want to go do. I got a couple years left. Let me do one superhero movie.
right.
Even
But he
okay,
did do a
I'm the
good
bad guy.
Ross.
Yeah.
I think he was a great Ross. And do you guys remember how Harrison Ford was when The Force Awakens was coming out?
Hmm.
Like he was uninterested in doing movies back then.
Yeah,
Like if you when you caught him on Jimmy Fallon, like he was just like he was like bah humbug whenever they asked him anything about Star Wars. He was
yeah,
over it. And it seems like he's been having a good time going around the country and talking about this movie in press tours, which I'm glad to see. I like seeing Harrison Ford because I think his performance in this movie is one of the better ones.
yeah,
Like Dad mentioned, Anthony Mackie has this like when he turns on his speech, he feels like he's very monotone, and that's why moments like the limo scene really stick out as
yeah,
awkward
Hmm.
because you're like, where is this all the time? If you're gonna do this like and have Sam act this way, kind of do it all the time. If not, it feels very weird.
I mean that limo scene is what reminded me of him being at Cranbrook again.
yeah,
Yes, he it was very corny. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
I I
And
would like to
Joaquin.
think that scene could have been a really good like passing of the torch for three different characters. A lot Isaiah Bradley as the first Captain America, the first Black Captain America.
hmm,
Passing the torch to Sam Wilson, the first, the real, like, the public first Captain America, and then Joaquin Torres being the new Falcon. It could have been a really cool generational thing, especially between three people of color.
yeah.
It would have been really cool, but instead they wasted the scene on like a turn up joke and lingo that no one really uses anymore.
Yeah, it's like, but going back to Harrison Ford and his portrayal of Ross, I love the whole like you already knew he was hiding something just because that's who Thaddeus Ross is,
Uh
but
huh.
then it's like the buildup of where it was like him fighting something inside, like and getting more irritable and crotchety, and like just I mean
I mean,
everything that led up to everything he did pretty well and nailed
I
it.
think he did such a
Hmm.
good job, Gabe. Not to interrupt you, but I think he did
Hmm.
such a good job that because I don't remember the whole full backstory.
Hmm.
As far as his character goes.
Like in the Hulk.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
mainly because I think I've only seen the Hulk one time.
Hmm.
And I don't even know which one it was because I know there's like two different versions or three, isn't there? Um, but
Hmm.
I didn't know about it much, and as I took Diago, um, and I took Liz too, and we were watching it. I think for us three, it was kind of like he did such a good job that I didn't know if he was gonna be a character. I knew he was eventually gonna turn into the Red Hulk, right? But I
Hmm.
didn't know if it was like a character that like I wanted to feel sympathy for, or if I was feeling confused about, or if he's gonna be like somebody who's good but has these demons within him. Like I didn't know what to expect, like what was going on with it. And he did such a good job. And like I said, I mean, come on, it's Harrison Ford though, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, your American Graffiti, you know, 60 years later, and he's still doing movies. But
Yeah.
I think he did an awesome job. Joaquin, the guy who played Joaquin, I think he did a good job. I don't know if he's that corny in the comic book. I mean corny, like you know, he's always overexcited. It's and kind of like
He played the
um,
young upstart pretty well, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like in that
So I didn't know.
sidekickish role.
yeah. Again, I think that's what Marvel thinks. Young people talk like, and like that's how all young people act. Because if you watch like Miss Marvel and all that, like that's how Kamala Khan acts
Hmm.
too. All the younger heroes in Marvel have this kind of like real big, like they have a real like nice attitude about everything.
Yeah.
When if you look at someone like Anthony Mackie and like Sebastian Stan, they kind of carry like this kind of like, oh man, this superhero game isn't what it what it used to be.
See, but
Uh,
Falcon always is gonna have that sidekick role, right? He never like goes out on his own. It's always a sidekick, right?
well, until he becomes Captain America.
But I mean, right now Joaquin's is just a sidekick, though, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
or yeah, at this point, because before Falcon really becomes Captain America in the Brewbreaker run, he is like he really is just Steve's sidekick. Steve
Yeah.
has like two rotating sidekicks, and it's Bucky and Sam.
Hmm.
And again, Sam's a grown ass man, so it's kind of weird calling him a sidekick.
Right.
But he's kind of like just Captain America's partner. And in this movie, I think it was real. It showed really like that side more of the relationship. They were partners. Like they have their own office together. Their desks are right next to each other. Falcon's the man in the chair, and he even in the beginning when they're fighting the Serpent Society, Sam's the one that goes after the hostages, and Joaquin's the one that goes after the adamantium. Like they're a real good partnership, I think.
Which they really first mentioned in the
Oh yeah.
MCU. Also,
Hmm.
the very first time they
And,
mentioned adamantium as well.
yeah, and Dad, when was the last time we ever heard anything about that celestial coming out of the ocean?
The what's his name?
The
You know?
Eternals movie?
Oh, Eternals. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that was like four
Didn't
years
they?
ago.
Didn't they? But
Yeah.
didn't they touch on that?
They
I
they
feel like they
talk
touched on it.
they talk about it every now and then in like the shows, and
But not on the films.
they I think in Multiverse of Madness there's like a moment where you see the news and it talks about the Celestial's hand coming out, and
But
I
it
that's
was
it.
don't.
just brief.
I don't know why. And you never told me about this till now. I don't know why. Maybe it was a scene in the movie, or I felt like they mentioned it. But I remember referencing the external, their names. I forget the name. Sorry,
Eternals.
Eternals. Watching this movie, I don't know why, but I don't know if they mentioned it or something made me think about it, or so I don't know what it was honestly. But I
Yeah,
remember referencing that movie while watching this movie, and I
yeah.
can't think of why.
And
It's
then
just it's just because it was a Celestial, and that was like the climax of the Eternal movie.
yeah.
Mm,
And then going back to adamantium, they also nod to what was it, X-Men 2, where remember when Stryker mentions like if you manage to melt down adamantium, like you got to keep it basically like boiling, and the canister it was held, did
Oh
you
yeah.
see like the temperature or whatever, like it,
Hmm.
so that
I originally thought that was a timer until they told me that it was adamantium, and then they mentioned, the how to have to refine it, and
hmm
that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh, it was adamantium in the canister. It wasn't a bomb. I thought it was a bomb. I
yeah.
was like, oh, it's like a gas bomb, and they had to stop it, but it ended up not being that.
you know what I was going to mention to you guys? I seen an article that I didn't get to finish reading. It was a post on Instagram, and then I started reading it, and then I didn't finish it. But the villain, the I don't know his villain name, but it was Esposito, the like
Sidewinder.
Yeah.
Sidewinder.
Mm-hmm.
That the comic book world was very upset that he had limited lines. They felt like they should have, and I don't know if it's because it was the villain himself, or it's because he's such a fan favorite now after doing so many like Star Wars, and I mean he's been in all kind of
Yeah.
movies now,
And he
right?
was recasted as well too because it was some wrestler, I can't remember who, one of the guys that was the Shield, um not Roman Reigns or
Oh, you're
but
talking about Seth freaking Rollins,
yeah, so yeah, him. He was supposed to be originally he was
Rollins.
originally cast as Sidewinder, but then they end up recasting to
Well, you know, he's such a fan favorite. They love
yeah.
him. I mean, we seen him at Comic Con when you're Vic. You remember the line they had for that guy?
Yeah, the line was insane, and that was before he was Grand Moff Gideon
Yeah.
from The Mandalorian. But at that point, he was already Gus from Breaking Bad.
I
Like
think
he's
he had just did the first season of Mandalorian.
And
I
he's
think.
in The
really.
Boys as well too,
Hmm.
so he does a
Yeah,
Yeah,
great job.
he's Gus Fring. Oh,
he's
not Gus
he,
Fring. He's Edgar Stan in The
Hmm.
Boys.
and I know,
Yeah.
and like I said, I know he's a fan favorite and he's got such a big following. But there was the article was talking about how they didn't give enough input on that villain. They didn't let him build up his character. They were just kind of like a throw in.
Hmm.
And I don't know how important that villain is in storylines, but they felt like they should have had more given to him, and they said it didn't they didn't allow the actor to do what he does.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's part of the recasting of him as well. That's
Yeah,
why they had to kind of rush it.
is
I'm
he a
sure a
big
lot of
villain?
that was lost. I'm sure Gabe will agree that the Serpent Society is one of those like C-list Captain America villains, but they're fan favorites for sure.
Yeah, like
Like,
what was it, like AIM or something like that? Like they're
hmm
there, but like I mean, only when the plot deems it to be for them to be important,
because
you know.
like they're like
What's
two.
his name, Gabe? Sorry, Rick.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead.
Well, that science, the science villains AIM. They're kind of
No,
like that group where it's like, I mean, they're only important when the plot deems it to be or needs them to be in. But
so like
other than
fillers.
yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
Okay, what's that actor's name?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, John Carlo. See, and the thing is that I've been seeing him since the '80s when
What
he came out of School
in Spike?
Days.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about in Spike Lee's
Do the right
movies.
thing.
Yeah, do the
Hmm.
right thing.
He also came out of School Days, didn't he, Gabe?
Yeah,
I believe he came out of School Days. He was one of the fraternity guys, I think. But I know it wasn't Do the Right Thing. He was the guy that was outside talking all the political stuff. So I've been seeing him. So it's kind of cool to see, like when you see an actor from when you're like a young kid, and then you see it as
yeah.
continues growing, 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 and now all of a sudden he becomes like a fan favorite, and it's like I've known this guy for years, But
And he wants to play Professor X eventually, but
Now that he's Sidewinder, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
but I think that if we ever go back to Comic Con again, Vic,
yeah.
and, he shows up, I think I might get that one added to my wall.
I think even though he was at superstar level when we saw him, he's even more at superstar level. And I don't
Yeah,
know if
man.
South Texas Comic Con can book him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
what I was thinking too. But you know what? And Gabe, this is interesting that we're talking about this now. We bring Comic Con up. I spoke to Victor in December, and I really want to start planning a trip to the San Diego Comic Con.
Oh yeah.
But I'm talking about in advance. So
Yeah, well,
like,
you got to do like a year in advance, I believe,
Mhm.
because they sell out so quick. I mean,
oh
it's
yeah,
easy access to get to them, but it's just like for anybody, it's just a matter of
I
actually
just
getting.
watched the Big Bang Theory episode when they sat at their computers to get the Comic Con.
Oh, when they all go as Star Trek Next Generation cosplay, and then their car breaks down.
Is that the one or no? Yeah, it is. But then I also just seen the one where they were waiting for the Star Wars tickets.
Oh yeah.
So I'm on season 9 right now. So the reason I became a fan of the show. I started watching Young Sheldon, and Sheldon is just like, to me, is just hilarious. So, but back to the other thing is that we want to go back to Comic Con. I want to go to Comic Con, not back. I want to go to Comic Con San Diego, and I want me and Vic to go and plan like a guys trip out there. But we're gonna plan in advance. And right now, Vic's gonna be making a big move in the next year or so. So maybe after that big move's done, then we can start like, okay, let's start saving up some money.
Yeah.
Let's get the tickets a year in advance. That way we can buy the plane tickets in advance, and slowly buy and purchase everything. That way when you get there, all you're worried about is food and water, right? I mean,
Hmm.
Hmm.
everything's paid for in advance. But I think it's like worth it to go to say that you
Oh
went to
yeah,
San Diego
definitely.
one time. So when we do that, we'll make sure we let you know, Gabe. See if you want to join us for that trip.
Yeah, that'd be a
But
good episode too.
Hell yeah.
oh yeah,
We'll
yeah,
film an
man.
episode in the hotel room after we see like some big reveal.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
and the thing you have to figure out if you want to do all 3 days or just 2 days. Because
Right.
I seen some of those passes, and they're expensive. They're not cheap, but I
Mm-mm.
mean, they said it is the greatest Comic Con to go to,
Yeah.
and that's what everybody does reveals at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
They
seen.
do those at San Diego and also New York Comic Con.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'd rather do San Diego than New York.
So, what did you guys think about the three villains of the movie? So we talked about Giancarlo as Sidewinder.
Hmm.
We talked a little bit about Harrison Ford, but what about the third secret villain that I didn't expect to come out in this movie?
Yeah, and as soon as I saw the name, you already knew when it said Mr. Blue, like you already was like, oh my gosh.
Remind me. You guys gonna have to remind me now because I'm kind
Uh,
of.
the Thinker,
Oh yeah.
or what's
The
his name's the Thinker, right,
No,
Gabe?
it's the leader.
The leader.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go.
what's his name? They said his whole name though, right?
Daniel Stern or something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Stern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yep.
yeah. That
And
I didn't like him. I didn't like him as a villain. Like I didn't like him. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys are making me too critical on these movies now because
well, he's more of a and like because he's more of a Hulk villain. Actually,
Yeah.
well,
let's say
let
aside
me
from Ross,
explain to
he
you.
is the
Let me
Hulk
explain to you
villain.
why. Let me explain to why you guys are messing up my comic book adventures. Okay, Vic knows when we go to movies, I was always the one to say that. And I thought it was good. I thought it was good because I don't know the whole story. I don't know
Right.
everything behind it, and then I don't know what people say in the back in the dark web of comic books, right?
Hmm.
I didn't know
Dark
any of
web.
that stuff, so I just like, yeah, I liked it, I liked it, I liked it, and I'm always trying to be Mr. Positive. So then I started going through movies and I started seeing certain things I don't like, I didn't like, and then I started seeing like I started hearing jokes about like especially like in Big Bang Theory when they talk about bad comic book movies and like what people didn't like, like the movie they mentioned is the one that the guy who plays Deadpool, what's his name?
Right. Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. What was the first movie he did?
He was
Green
in
Lantern.
Blade.
Green
Oh
Green
yeah.
Lantern.
Lantern.
Green Lantern. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know that was such a like joke as far as how terrible a movie that was in the
Hmm.
comic book world, you know. And that villain from the Thinker from
Or the
Captain
leader.
America, it reminded me of the villain from Green Lantern. That's why I didn't like him. And
Sinestro.
I
No, you're talking about the guy that gets
the big head.
possessed by with the fear, or paradox, is it, or something
Oh,
like that, or
Parallax.
parallax?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like in about 2 or 3 years, we're gonna start hearing stories about how that guy was a terrible villain because, like, to me, that's what he reminded me of. Like I said, I like Harrison Ford's villain. I liked Esposito's villain, and even though he has small screen time, I think he always came in hard and he did his
Hmm.
thing. He's such a good actor too. I mean,
Yeah.
Esposito's such a good actor, but this other guy, I mean, first of all, he was hard to look at. It was like,
Yeah, they kind of because the leader and I think that was Marvel kind of getting away from the big smooth head, kind of like what they did with Modoc, and so they emphasize more on I
The
mean,
grossness.
yeah, of what it is. But if you, like I said, he's a Hulk villain, and if you really think about it, the way I mean, they don't. This is what I got from it. He could have been basically behind the scene because what was it? The Edward Norton's Hulk. That movie was what, 2011, pretty much the kickoff of the MCU.
A little
So
earlier than that too.
yeah, I
yeah,
think it was like 2008 or something.
if you really look at it, if he was a guy behind a lot of the weapons for the U.S. government and for Ross, but
Hmm.
also Ross was he got blipped, or with the snap, so he could have been a big player like
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of the stuff that happened within the MCU with, a lot of other movies. He could have had his hand,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
right. That's the
into it,
implication that
you
he's
know.
just been around in jail.
Yeah, and then also like, how much if you go back to the Hulk movie, how much from the sample of Bruce Banner's blood that he actually made, and then, not to go jumping forward to the end credits, but how he says we're coming. I mean, me and you, Vic, we already know that he has an army of, like basically rejected Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
copies and stuff like that, and then the whole like oh, and going back to Black Widow too, the whole mind thing, he could have probably copied that and made it a better version of that mind control, like how also Bucky, would with just a
Oh yeah.
certain phrase or something like that, how the song just snapped the soldiers and stuff like that. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, visually, and maybe he wasn't like that great, but if you really look like behind and past what possibly he could have had a part in and what's he gonna be a part of, I think it kind of, helps him out a bit.
I think what could have
2008, guys.
okay.
Sorry,
I
Vic.
I think what was I think what's cool about comic books and comic book movies is that like right now, Gabe, you have the vision that
Hmm.
Marvel should have for
Yeah,
the leader, but it seems like they don't have that vision either.
right.
They set him up. First of all, our first villain was Sidewinder, right? And
Yep.
then we move on to I think the next we get the leader before we get Red Hulk,
Hmm.
but it felt like it was a like a MacGuffin,
Yeah.
the leader's role in the whole thing, where it's like, oh, he's just behind everything. Because okay,
Yeah.
let's be real honest here. I guess it was the leader putting things in motion that made Ross have his little tantrum,
Yeah.
but it could have happened a lot earlier at a different time that had nothing to do with the leader at all.
Hmm.
It just depended on whether Ross was going to have a meltdown or not. And maybe that's his plan, right? Get Ross into the position of president, and having had the gamma pills that he's been having for a while, he's bound to have a moment where he's just rageful.
Yeah, and we
And
almost
then,
have it too in the during the battle scene with the
yes,
at the Celestial Island, where he was just about to lose it, and then when
he
Falcon
calms
and
down.
yeah,
He calms down, and then the leader's like, he's like rats.
yeah.
He didn't get angry.
You know one thing I forgot in this whole movie, and I didn't get to the end though, and not to call out the villains, but I forgot that the Captain America didn't take the serum.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but Bucky's just a normal guy.
I mean,
Which
You mean
it's like,
Sam?
oh
yeah,
yeah,
Sam.
my bad, Sam.
Yeah,
Sam's just a normal guy.
Bucky
He
has a serum, right?
he has a version of the super soldier serum that the
Mhm.
Russians gave him, I think.
Okay.
Which I was talking to Oscar about it yesterday, which is like a great part about the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. Sam deciding not to take the super soldier serum because it ends up being between U.S. agent and Sam deciding like who's going to take up the legacy of Steve in that show, and it's U.S. agent who's like, I need the extra help. There's no way I can be the embodiment of Captain America the way Steve was. I need the help, and he takes the super soldier serum, and it makes him go a little crazy. But Sam is the one that's like, nah, like that was kind of Steve's deal, and it helped him. But I'm good on my own. I don't need the pain that comes with being a super soldier and
Mhm.
what that entails. And they didn't backtrack it in this movie. I thought
No,
for sure at one point in the middle of the movie they're gonna be like, Sam, you're fighting against some people that you're gonna need like super soldier serum for. Like these
yeah,
people are kind of kicking your ass. Sam gets his ass kicked a
Mhm.
couple times in this movie, but that's par for the course. In Sam's original run as Captain America, dude gets his ass kicked every single issue.
Yeah.
It's like part of the it's part of like the appeal to him. He's not as strong as Steve. He's not as he doesn't have the veterancy. I don't even know if that's the word as Steve does, but he's out here.
But also this
yeah.
movie, what it also captures on, especially like with Winter Soldier, more like realism of,
Mm-hmm.
not the whole. I mean, yeah, you do have, the Red Hulk, which, I mean, still kind of a watered down, of the big guy, but still, I mean, it there's a little more realism to it with the whole like behind the shadows and, covertness
Mm-hmm.
of,
Yeah,
Like it's a spy thriller
yeah,
at its best moments.
yeah,
yeah, they mentioned it with Bucky. They said, you didn't take the serum, and then later on when he's getting his ass whooped, he says, "I should have took the serum."
yeah,
So I
Yeah.
mean, I forgot it completely
yeah.
about that part. Um,
Can we mention for a second that Bucky's running for Congress and he's the dude who killed JFK
Right.
did you
as
see
the
the
Winter
reports on that,
Soldier?
by the way?
Huh?
You see they're releasing some reports on that?
Yeah.
It's,
But it's like what everyone's known for years. The FBI
uh,
killed him because he was
Yeah.
trying to dismantle them.
oh, I didn't listen to it, but I just heard they were releasing some reports on that and MLK.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Um the there's a character that I think could have gone like the whole like they could have not been in the movie and it would have been the same, and that's Sabra.
Yeah.
The
Well, they didn't name her that though. They
yeah,
made her
they didn't
basically a Black Widow, a former
yeah,
Black Widow.
they gave her the clout of being a Black Widow
Yeah.
just to do it, but
Well, also supposedly like everything that was going on, over there with Israel and Palestine, I
mhm,
think they kind of like, well, let's not touch that right
Well,
now.
yeah.
I think they could have left her, but I think they a different actress. She was way too small to be anything, and it was kind of annoying like how small she was. Like even when she was standing next to somebody, it was kind of like, oh, look at that little kid. I mean, so and Black
Right.
Widow was like Black Widow when she would come on the screen, like I mean, she was Scarlett Johansson, but it was still like she would make a presence,
Hmm.
and then you had this little person who was dressed in a suit trying to be like a secret service, and once again, and go back to Anthony Mackie. I didn't like his acting. I don't like him as an actor so much. I've seen a couple different movies. If this girl, I'll probably put her in that same thing of like, not one of my favorite actresses because I don't know who she is first of all, but I didn't think she did a good role at it. She kicked some ass, but I think anybody who could have been put there would have been kicking ass. I mean,
I mean, I do agree with that because even another show that Mackey's on is Twisted Metal. I love it. I mean, I don't care too much for who he plays, but I mean, just like the movie, there's so many other elements to it that kind of just, what, it doesn't matter though. It fits, regardless. It doesn't have to, he doesn't have to be a better,
well,
whatever,
let's do this.
80s type Phil.
Like I said before, this is going to be a little bit shorter podcast, but let's do this in a fun way, okay?
Hmm.
So, on a
Mhm.
scale of 1 to 10, for you guys, you comic book professionals, I'm going to go down and list a couple things here, and you guys list your rating, okay?
Hmm.
Gotcha.
All right, Harrison Ford,
Oh,
10
10.
out of 10. He had the best performance.
okay, Anthony Mackie,
I put like 7 for me.
Yeah, it's like a 6 or 7.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, 10.
8.
Big difference there, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
like them though, but I'm just, that's more the fanboy of me, of like all his other work, and I like him.
The guy
Hmm.
who played Joaquin.
Justin Torres. No wait. His name is Danny Ramirez. I thought he was okay. He is a
Yeah,
good 7 out of 10. Same as Anthony Mackie.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Overall villains in the movie.
9.
Villain representation.
I put 9 just
Yeah.
because what I see,
Yeah, like Giancarlo killed it as Sidewinder. Harrison Ford killed it in his respective role until he was like when he was Red Hulk, I thought it was
Mhm.
cool. And the leader is the only one where I'm like, okay, well, what did you really do besides the movie telling us you did this?
Yeah,
All right. Lack of Bucky being in the movie.
I think it was a great cameo. We could have not had Bucky.
yeah. I felt like it was just more. They were cashing in on the TV series more. That was just let's bring this back around and see.
All
Mhm.
right. Now this question is I'm going to be very specific because it's totally two different things. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
The storyline compared to comic books.
Okay.
is the first question, and the second is overall storyline. Now you understand the difference, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so let's do storyline compared to the comic book run.
Um, it wasn't. I mean, they're never going to be true to the story. So I mean, yeah, it was, at best, like most Marvels, movies, it's gonna be like a 7 or something like that. But the overall story for me, like I said, I thought it was great. I loved it. I'll put it at a 9,
Hmm.
just because of what direction that Marvel wants to go to, and it's a good opening, another opener for bringing in the X-Men, because instead of mutants, what they said, like enhance humans, I mean, they're kind of like I feel like a fish being lured by the bait or something. That's how I feel right now. And if they do it right, I can go back. We can go back to this and say like, see, I told you so. But
Hmm.
You're holding receipts, huh?
yeah.
Uh, Vic, once again, storyline compared to comic book, and then storyline overall.
I think if you were to read the original Sam Wilson run, you would see a lot of similarities with this movie. As far as like it being an adaptation, it feels pretty good. The first Sam Wilson story is Sam Wilson going on one mission, and it's 6 issues of Sam going through that mission, and that's what this movie felt like. It's Sam unraveling one mission as the movie goes, you know.
Okay.
And as far
Overall,
as like just an MCU movie, it's like I said, it's one of the better ones that's come out in the past like 4 years, and I think they're going in the right direction with it. And I enjoy, like the Gabe mentioned it at the beginning. I didn't even realize that there was no bumper, like
mm,
the big bumper in the beginning where they go through the comics and the movies, and then it's the
pages.
Marvel logo. It was just the black Marvel logo, which is cool. It felt like it was more grounded, and it was less fantastical, even though a lot of fantastic things happen in the movie.
Mhm.
It
Okay.
felt
Your
like
final.
it was back to like Winter Soldier. It's a spy thriller. Sorry.
Mm, no, it's good. Your final two questions. I get you ready for the last one, but the second or last question is going to be how excited you are for the next part of the story, the NCU moving
Hmm.
forward, based on this movie.
Hmm.
So did this movie excite you for the rest that's coming forward? You guys kind of answered it, but a little bit more. And the final question would be any last thoughts you had on the movie before we end the podcast. So first question, did this movie excite you for the what's coming up next? Gabe?
Yeah, it did. Um, and I'm gonna kind of use this more to say we need a standalone Hulk movie so bad.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like what's his name, Mark Ruffalo or whatever.
Hmm.
But man, like the the Edward Norton Hulk also. I mean, like we need like it's obvious that they got to do something right, man. Like Universal, sell the rights to Marvel or something like that, man. Just
Hmm.
either do it right or get out the way. That's all. We need a good Hulk movie, and I hope this is what I get from what I want from this. I want this to kind of spearhead, you know, like, hey, we got to do something right with the Hulk. He can't just be, some. I mean, I get it. There's parts where you gotta where they're showing that he's trying to calm down the Hulk, this and that, but I want to see him like, destroy the world and then send
Yeah.
them off into, for
Space.
Planet Hulk and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that, like
Hmm.
do us justice. That's all I.
All right. And you want to get ready with your final thoughts, Vic? What about you? How did it set it up for you? What are your
uh
thoughts on the setup?
I think it's a good setup movie. Like Gabe had mentioned earlier, it's a good way to get adamantium into the universe by finally telling us that the celestial, that they're mining it and they can get that metal from there. And as I'll even throw in this like new thing that I've been thinking about. I've been reading a lot of like the Avengers run from 2003 to 2014. It's a legendary Brian Michael Bendis run,
Mhm,
and where I am currently in 2012, Avengers versus X-Men, Red Hulk is an Avengers member. He becomes Red Hulk, and then he's kind of like a William Stryker. He's a pariah, you know. He
mhm,
did a lot of things, a lot of bad things while in the pursuit of the Incredible Hulk, and he's trying to be better, and he's trying to like forgive himself for the things he did. And his role on the Avengers in the comics is that, you know, he's the one that is going to get his hands dirty when Steve can't. And it's real cool because he makes that decision for Steve in the comics. Steve doesn't tell him, "Hey, I need you to do the dirty work." Ross takes it upon himself because he's so comfortable doing the dirty work that he goes out there and he makes decisions like that, and it puts the team in jeopardy sometimes. And I'm excited, even if, you know, maybe this is the last time we see Harrison Ford in these movies, because, you know, they they can't bring him back every time. He did one Star Wars movie and he was like, okay, like kill me off, and they listened to him. So they might do the same here. But if they do anything in the future with him, I'll be very excited to see
Yeah.
that.
Wait, we gotta live now.
Yeah, and we've got Liv Tyler, and
So,
I'm not against giving Liv Tyler more work.
Yeah.
yeah, she still looks good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Any final word before we end today?
Um, did anybody notice they Wolverine's skeleton?
No.
In the I think that's what it was, or they kind of mentioned the whole like grafting adamantium into like, you know, into skeleton. What was it during the gala press conference or whatever?
Uh,
They, you know,
Oh
that
yeah,
little when he was in that where he was gonna do his speech and
yeah.
showing
The
all
the
the
glass panels.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you kind of get a quick view of that. So
I,
I
I
was
I think I was too busy looking at the worried looks on everyone else as they were
right,
watching, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
I
right,
think I think I did see that, Gabe. I think I
yeah.
did.
So
Uh, Vic.
I'm also looking forward to X-Men. Hopefully that, you know.
Yeah. And my final thoughts are gonna piggy off of Gabe. I can't wait for the real villains of the Marvel universe to be revealed, and that's the Canadian government.
Right now too, in real
Shit,
life.
because you know they're in Marvel comics, they're the ones that do like the Weapon X program, and
Yep.
they're like the word like everything that's bad in the Marvel universe you can trace back to Canada, and
Yeah.
it's really funny. Uh, I liked it, so I hope that that's what's going to happen next.
All right. Well, overall, I think we have an average of about an 8 out of 10 for the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Next, I think this is kind of fun. So maybe the next movie that comes out will do the same thing.
The Thunderbolts, right?
Yep.
I think it is Thunderbolts, and then we'll do the same thing. And then until then, Vic will give us another comic book to read.
Mhm.
But just for anybody else that wants to follow you guys, Gabe, where can they find you?
You could find me on Facebook at Gabriel Feliciano and Instagram at Gabe's Pick 22 and on TikTok at Conflay722.
Hell yeah.
Okay, Vic.
You can find me on Instagram at Victorino_MP4, and then on Twitch at Vic at twitch.tv/Vic at night. I went live yesterday for like 6 hours. So you know, Saturdays are for sure. I'm gonna start doing that for at least 6 hours every day.
Hmm.
Sundays I'm gonna be going live today, but by the time you hear this, I would have already been live. You can probably check out the VOD on the Twitch page there.
All right, and you can find me at Mendez Vic on Instagram or Ryman Reading Undercast Podcast on Instagram as well. And until then, we'll see you with the next comic book, and or the next movie, whichever comes first. Until then, we'll talk to you soon. Vic, Gabe, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, no
Hell yeah.
problem. Yep. Happy reading and viewing.
Yep. Support your local comic book store.